In yesterday's video, I asked our beloved global family, what would you like me to analyze next? And going through all of the comments, a couple of things stood out. One, we have an absolute incredible global family, and I'm so appreciative that you've tuned in and you're joining us today. The other thing is that people wanted to see XRP and Solana, and thank you to Andrew as well. Greatest problem, trading or investing, is always emotion. If you're emotional trading, you'll find that you just get whacked by the markets. So how do we get rid of the emotion and move into scientific analysis? The first thing that we do is the cheat sheet. Next, we look at the daily structural model and the monthly structural model. I'll do this for XRP and Solana. If you were trading XRP and Solana, probably the first thing you would do is to jump into those charts. I'm going to suggest a different way to go about things. First of all, get a bit of an understanding how the market is actually moving and why it's moving. Now, why does the market move up and down? The crypto market, it's because of Bitcoin. No alt can escape Bitcoin's gravity. If Bitcoin is moving up, the alts are moving up. If Bitcoin is moving down, the alts are moving down with it as well. This is very important to understand, and unfortunately, very few people do. Now, what does this mean to you practically? If Bitcoin is selling down, there is a very good probability, I'd give it 98% plus, that your crypto alts are selling down too, but they'll be selling down much, much greater. Now, of course, it goes the other way as well. If Bitcoin is rallying, your alts will rally much faster and greater than Bitcoin's percentage. Now, what does this mean? If you're investing or trading in, say, XRP or BNB or Solana or whatever it is that you're doing, you're actually going to need to look at Bitcoin too. So here's XRP just staging a bit of a breakout, and Solana and BNB down the bottom. To understand XRP and Solana better, and this applies to ADA or any crypto, we need to look at the futures of the major market indexes such as the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, the Russell, and the Dow. Now, why do we need to do this? Because we need to check out Bitcoin. Now, why is that important? You would think that the stock market and the crypto market are completely disconnected. We're looking here on a 1 hour basis. This is current price action. No cherry picking, no BS here. This is the actual price. Now, what are we looking at? The blue line is Bitcoin. The S&P 500 was going fairly flat and then it retraced. What happened to Bitcoin? It followed. The S&P 500 futures came up. What happened to Bitcoin? It followed. Now, what is the consequence of this to your beloved alts that you're trading or investing in? If it's Solana, if it's XRP, if it's ADA, if it's Doge, they're all following Bitcoin. That's why I showed you the chart before. What about the Nasdaq? Going pretty much flatline and then came down, went up. Look at Bitcoin. This should be an absolute clear bing moment in your brain. It's like, oh my God, I've got to look at the stock market if I'm in the crypto market. How could this happen? It happens because of a thing called intercorrelation. We know that the cheat sheet, which is absolutely free of charge and available from CTKSmethod.org, registers right across markets, row 1 and row 2, risk on or risk off. Row 3, the main index futures, the stock market. Row 4, subcomponents. Row 5, 6, and 7, the crypto market. The crypto market kind of acts like a VIX. Now, if you don't know what a VIX is, it's the fear gauge of the main markets. So if we see crypto coming up, we're pretty much assured that the main markets are coming up as well. If crypto is coming down, we're pretty much assured that the main markets are coming down as well. But inside row 1 and row 2, we also cover off Forex, yields, and commodities, gold, silver, copper, and oil. All markets are intercorrelated and interconnected. And you thought you were just looking at Solana and XRP. It's a lot broader than that. But let's have a look into Solana and XRP from a monthly structural path view. Looking at Solana, With the parts on, we can see that currently Solana is following the negative normalized price path, and it's obeying structure actually really well. Now, what are these paths? Are these paths that are just matched to price? Of course, you can see it's not. It's something else. These paths are structural indicators. They allow us to understand where price and structure interact. Now, how are these price paths drawn? They're drawn at the start of the month and they are not changed. Now, what is the guiding principle behind these particular lines? Because you can often see that they predict price quite well. At least they contain it. If there is a structural failure, we can see that it opens up lower levels of structure. These are formed through an understanding of level 1 and level 2 standard certification. And when you get a structural failure, it's really important to take note of, because a lot of people just assume because it's going green, it's going to continue to grow green. But what happens if it doesn't? It's also the opposite thing. If it's going red, it's not necessarily going to continue to go red if we get structural passes. So you can see the first thing, these paths are drawn at the start of the month to predict end of month ranges of price from a normalized positive price perspective, a consolidation perspective, and a negative perspective. Now, why is this important? Because if you only assume price is going positive, you cannot ever prepare for price going negative. And it's that problem that kills people's accounts. And it's exactly the same on the opposite perspective. If you're thinking price is going to go negative, but it in fact goes positive, you'll be holding a bearish bias when price is just simply moving in a wave between structural support and structural resistance levels. But structure is not what most people think it is. So when we look at Solana, we already know that negative structure is at play inside Solana. But we've also been getting some messages in here that this structure is actually holding up. It actually takes 2 levels of standard certification to draw that structure up. Level 1 is where the basics are learned. Level 2 is where all the magic happens, and I'm going to just dive in to the structural levels of both Solana and XRP, but it's pretty important you understand they're not just random lines drawn on a screen. And here are the CTKS paths, right down the last level of standard certification. That's the last thing that we do. The first thing that we do is actual structure. When retail looks at structure, they just literally look back in price and say, oh, this must be a level of structure. That must be a level of structure. But they're waiting for price to print in order to make an assertion that is often wildly incorrect. With the CTKS method, because of level 1 and level 2 standard certification, we already know where the support and resistance levels are, because we mark up all of price history, not just recent indicative price, which RIPs your money. So let's zoom in here and I'll show you the structure. Now we're looking at Solana on a daily basis, and you can see that negative CTKS path is currently playing out. But what is happening inside price structure? That is the critical indicator. This is what we need to understand. We can see that Solana is currently 188.87. This is all live. One of the things that we do, which is very different from other influencers, we use live charts. We don't cherry pick data, we don't put the replay on, we use the live thing because, hey, that's what you need to use. The first question you might have, especially if you're new to CTKS structure, is what the hell are all these lines here? For example, all of this right up here, just below the 200 level, you can see there's a lot of clustering. Now, what does clustering mean? It means thicker is stronger, more clustered is stronger. This is a very, very strong resistance level, and it's underneath 200. What about this particular one? This level is stronger than this one. And we can see that we've got clusterings of CTKS levels up here. These dotted lines are what level 1 and level 2 standard certification do, and the paths just emulate the key areas to look at. Now, what does it mean as we go down to a smaller time frame, because this is all about timing? We've seen that this is a very important level. Now, what is that level? That level is around the 189.30 mark. Look at all this structural support at 186.70. Now, understanding where the structure is in terms of market price is really important. And how do you read this? The thing that just blows people's minds, the CTKS level is the world's leading indicator of support and resistance. We already know where the resistance levels are, we already know where the support levels are before price prints. That in itself is like getting the lotto numbers early. That's literally the most difficult thing off the charts. Now you can see that we came into that 189 area and we were rejected. Why is that? Now don't forget, this is all happening in real time. The reason for that is the sellers, the algorithms, the institutions are all hanging out on these lines. Not exactly on them, around them. So when you get momentum, it can push levels down and you see these tails. That's the algorithms coming in to buy. You have what are called GWs, or gravitational wells. These are discussed in the CTKS Profiting Masterclass. Now, one thing that you must be aware of, if you're not going above, you're targeting the one immediately below. So we couldn't get through this level, we're targeting this level right now. If we don't hold this, we're targeting this next level down. But there are many levels here. So we would just assume automatically that if we fail to do a structural fail on this level, we've got a lot of support around that 187. This is really important to know. If you're going into the market with any significant funds and you're looking at a price chart like this and you're saying, why did that reject there? I don't get it. Well, you can get it in advance by marking up your chart with level 1 and level 2 standard certification. You can already see how powerful it is. For example, Solana just rejected that, we'll say 189. It rejected 189 earlier on, sought to get caught in all of this area. Now, why didn't it get caught? Intercorrelation, the cheat sheet. The major market index futures were coming down. That meant that we needed more support before we saw a turnaround. Now, where did it just end up going up to? This structure around the 194 area. We saw it was structurally failing and we had a tight level. So this can create consolidation plays. We must always think in terms of 3 dimensions. Just because it's going up doesn't mean it's going to continue. Just as because it's going down doesn't mean it's going to continue either. Price just literally rebounds between structural support and structural resistance. If you know where those levels are, you can make informed decisions, and you do with this method. So what does it mean for Solana going forward? We can see that we got a reversal, and this is just the main markets just pushing their weight around. Now, are we in a bullish trend? Not for now. We are actually under resistance. So Solana would need to get to the 193 to confirm a bullish trend. Now, what are we doing right now? We're just literally hovering around that 189 area, waiting for the main markets to make a decision. And you thought you could figure out Solana from Solana's price chart. Well, you can to a degree. The internal structure is vitally important, but what you absolutely require is intercorrelation as well. In yesterday's video, we analyzed Bitcoin, and I said around this 111,300 mark was a lot of overhead structural resistance. Now, what happened? We saw that we had a bit of a retracement and then we had a rally. And where did it stop out? Right there. So we can see the absolute issue inside the crypto market is Bitcoin getting through this 111,300 level. Now, what does that mean to Solana and XRP? If Bitcoin starts to retrace, for example, if Bitcoin did something like this, do you think Solana would go something like this? XRP would go something like this? Please give me your answer in the comments. It's really important. Now, what do we notice here? Bitcoin is at the first stage of repair. This is a fantastic thing because it means that Bitcoin has the potential to go higher. And that's what we're seeing play out in XRP's price action right at the current time. So when we see this, we actually understand that although we might get a retracement down to 109,800, and that's around the area that Bitcoin structure starts to kick in. These areas are called SCs. They're learned in level 2 standards. Now I'm going to zoom into this area to give you a deeper structural view. I'll throw on those CTKS levels. Okay, I've just viewed this area on the 15-minute chart because I want to give you a better picture. And you can see everything is real time. Now, where is the structure? Are we looking good? What are we looking like? We're literally coming up to the 111,300 level. We're making a play at it. We've made plays before, we've got pushed down. When we have a structural failure here, it pushes the structural target to the next level. When we have a structural failure here, it pushes the next target to this structural level. When we have a structural pass, it pushes the target up to this structural level. If we can get above here, we're going to this level. If we get above here, we're going to this level. And if we get above here, we're going to this level. But if we don't get above here, we're coming back to this level. Not necessarily in the next second, but over time. So you can see that the algorithms, the smart money, the sellers are all clustering. Here, it's absolutely real time, no cherry picking, no BS. This is true price action. Now, what does Solana do? When Bitcoin made its push up, it's pushing up against its own structural overhead resistance. You can see how the charts intercorrelate. This is what I talk about in the Profiting Masterclass. Financial markets can be an absolute nightmare. That's why I'm offering near full scholarships to the CTKS Profiting Masterclass. Your name could be here. All you need to do is to reach out to me on LinkedIn, directly message me. The first round of scholarships has gone through. If you were not successful, if I didn't reach out to you by email, don't worry, you're in automatically inside the next round. You will find the Profiting Masterclass to be an absolute game changer. You will find information and knowledge you won't find anywhere else. All you need to do is directly message me on LinkedIn. This is my profile here, and the link is in the description of this video. Just tell me a little bit about yourself and why the scholarship would help you out. One big part of the scholarship is that it doesn't care if price action is going up or down. And the trades that I was making inside the scholarship, inside the Profiting Masterclass, were happening when the VIX was spiking, pretty much like what's happening right now, and the markets were coming down. So it's perfect for you. If you want to learn, it's the ultimate. Most people treat trading and investing like a gamble. It's almost like, what horse is coming in? I like the color of that particular horse. Okay, I'm going to put all my life savings on that horse. That is kind of what people do inside the crypto market, inside the stock market, commodities market, forex markets, any market. The problem is that trading and investing is a business, and a business is a serious concern. You need to know what you're doing. Now, Bitcoin and total crypto market cap move together, so we need to look at the structural levels of both. Now, what do we see here? This is really important. Up here, the structure of the entire crypto market came up to overhead structural resistance around that 3.73 trillion. We do have structural support around the 3.7. And when you get gaps inside these charts, they're called positive CTKS gaps, and price can move up very quickly. It also can move down very quickly. and these are called GWs or gravitational wells. So just knowing where the structure is vitally important. Remember, this is real time. This is not cherry picking. This is not creating a story. This is fact. This is reality. Now, what does it mean? We're just trying to flip all of these areas right across the entire crypto market into support. Have we done it yet? No. Are we in the process of? Hopefully. It depends on Bitcoin getting above its resistance. That 111,300 is a critical area. Going back to Solana, we can see Solana is still under this area of resistance. It's just a fantastic thing for you to understand. When it comes to looking at any price chart, it doesn't matter. We're looking at Solana, you could be looking at XRP, ADA, Doge, anything. It's not important. What's important is where is the structure? What is actually happening across the board? You have to approach the markets like a professional, not like a gambler. If you approach the markets like a gambler and you say, you only live once, all in and more, yeah, you could win a couple of times, but long term you will get absolutely destroyed. And you will not blame yourself. You'll blame the markets, you'll blame the government, you'll blame trading fees, you'll blame everything else. But where you need to look, and I'm sorry for being so harsh, but it's absolutely true. You must take 100% responsibility and accountability. Why? Ken, I want to blame. They did it. They lied. I'm being controlled. I'm being manipulated. No, it's just simply a knowledge thing. If you have the knowledge thing, you can bypass a lot of problems. And you need to get in control of your life. If you're right and people are out there manipulating you right, left, and center, you're a victim and you don't want to be a victim. You want to be in control. How do you get in control? Knowledge. Let's look quickly into XRP. We can see these particular price paths. Now, I discuss these price paths every month at the start of the month inside the method service. So if you want to get inside the service and you want to see the projection to the end of the month drawn at the start of the month, please join up to the service because it's absolutely a game changer in so many ways. Now, what we see here, XRP is currently on the negative price path. It's starting to just stage a bit of a break of trend here, but it realistically depends on what Bitcoin does, what total crypto market cap does, and also XRP structure. So let's look at that. In yesterday's video, I mentioned that Bitcoin was at the very early stages of breaking out and doing a change in trend. If you listen to the news, you wouldn't be in the market. You'd be hiding underneath your bed. And that's why we don't listen to the news. We just look at the chart. The chart will tell us the truth. The news will tell us a story. Now, what is the truth behind XRP's price chart? We can see around this 253 area, we've got overhead structural resistance. We've just come through a positive CTKS gap and whacked ourselves on the head. Everybody was YOLOing in, but there was structure there. That structure typically means, especially because we came through two, this one is a little bit light. You may not see it, but it is absolutely there. Now, what does this mean? What it means is that we need to flip the 253, and if we do that, we're targeting immediately the 261. Millions can be made by just riding this structure. At least you know where it is. For example, if you were looking at XRP, just going back a little while, you knew that there was a structural overhead resistance around that 248. So when it came up, couldn't get through, immediately targeted down to the 245. And what happened? Tried to get up, found more and more structure. The main market indexes took off, and what have we seen? XRP taking off. XRP depends on so many things. It depends on Bitcoin, it depends on total, it depends on the market, intercorrelation, interconnection. If you were thinking that you could just trade XRP by looking at XRP's levels, you're really mistaken. You can do that if you want to do gambling, absolutely. Hell, why not? It's like getting a scratchy. Will it pay off? Will it not pay off? Yeah, you want a lot more knowledge than that. What is the intercorrelation? How is the VIX going? How is gold and silver going? They matter at the moment as well. So in upcoming episodes, I'll talk more about that, if that sounds like a good thing. And please let me know, what kind of topics would you like to see me cover? I really care about what you think and what you need, and that's why Kate and I do these videos each and every day. We want to help you out. Please let me know in the comments what topics would really be of assistance. For our veterans, I'm just going to go through the cheat sheet really quickly. We did see that VIX drop off. That was likely and probable to happen, and it did happen. Now just remember, if you get a lot of retracement, you normally get a bit of a kick up to normalize price out. So this could mean a bit of a retracement. But if we've broken trend and the VIX continues to come down, we expect broad-based rallies inside the crypto market and the stock market. We've seen the DXY come up, dollar yen come up just a little bit. Remember, this is on a daily basis. The yields are continuing to come down, but they've kicked up just slightly. And oil is quite weak. There are gluts forming across the world with oil. The CTKS method is all about timing, structure, so many things. It's about giving you professional intelligence. Now, when we look at row 2, we've got something fantastic. We've come up to this area. Getting a pullback down here is not a bad thing. It gives it time to consolidate. And especially if the VIX spikes up a little bit, we would expect a bit of a retracement in junk and a bit of a retracement inside the stock market and crypto, but that would be healthy. That would be a healthy retracement. So we're just keeping our eye. The euro dollar coming down, the Aussie dollar is what we were looking at. That went positive, good old Aussie. Oh, so strong. Good stuff. This gives us a bit of a forward indicator. Now, getting a bit of a retracement in the Aussie will be on the cards. If the VIX just decays quite considerably and the S&P 500 futures and the NASDAQ futures, all of the futures just consolidate and just push to the upside, we would anticipate a push to the upside in the Aussie dollar. We can see that gold is still maintaining positive momentum, but silver is starting to struggle. Into row 3, we've got a fantastic breakout on the S&P 500. Now, are we expecting it to just go ballistic? Well, it could, but most likely it's going to just wobble around and then go up. What about the Dow? That's looking good. Clear trend change here, but just don't forget, so many lemmings are going to pile on, they'll get whacked, they'll all come out, and then they'll do the real move. What we seek to do is to get in before it actually goes up. We're experts at that. NASDAQ, very good, and well done Perperatum for getting into ADA at such a good rate. And the Russell also looking good, so the markets are looking positive. Retail will come flooding in chasing that green candle. Like I showed you in previous episodes, be careful. It looks like we're going to get broad-based euphoria across the markets. Apple went for it. Everybody's going to come out cheering, fantastic, the bull market is back on. Remember, price moves in a it's a wave, up and down, up and down, up and down. But everybody expects when it goes green, it will go green forever, like it always does. Look at all these greens, they go green forever. Oh, actually, no they don't. But for some reason, people don't see what's right in front of their faces. We do. We expect to retrace because that will flush people out. All the people that don't know what they're doing. Looks really constructive, and especially Tesla looks extraordinarily constructive. You may think that Apple looks more constructive. I think Tesla looks more constructive because it's a considered move. Nvidia, not really getting there. We need to see follow through there. Don't forget, Nvidia is the AI play. On the daily basis, when we look through row 5, we can see that total crypto market cap, Bitcoin, Ethereum, they're doing quite well. That's that first early stage, and we've already got confirmation of an intermediate trend change. So it's good stuff, but always know the price is always moving in a wave. It goes up and down, up and down, up and down. Going into row 6, which is Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, Binance Coin, and Ethereum Classic, all looking pretty fair. Now, what does this mean? Except for Binance Coin. Binance Coin, what are you doing? This is really early days in the crypto market. Row 7, ADA, Solana, Dogecoin, and XRP. So many people got absolutely flushed out of the market, and then those people that didn't get flushed got flushed right there. There is an absolute absence of sellers inside the market, and the people, that means that there's more buying pressure potentially. Now, have we got a trend change inside the crypto market? Well, not quite yet. We're getting there. We're getting there. Very, very early stages. But timing is our specialty. It is looking quite good. And when we do our intercorrelation, it's also looking good. So when we think about Solana and XRP from structural levels, we understand what's pinning price down or what's letting price rip. And also with intercorrelation, across all of the different charts, we know how the markets are moving. You made it to here, you're a professional, you're awesome. And another thing, you should really congratulate yourself, because this spike down and that secondary spike just cleaned out so many weak hands. Now, what do I mean by weak hands? Weak hands are people that trade and invest emotionally. Now, that is our natural default position. We're all emotional beings, so when we see it go green, we just want to hop in, and when we see it go red, we want to hop out. That is what makes us consistently lose money. In times like this, we just need to get smarter. We need to get as much intelligence on movements and why things are doing what they're doing. And you're absolutely in the right place. I would love for you to become part of our global family. All you need to do is smash that like button, subscribe, press the notification bell, and just drop a comment to say hi. Doing this shows that you are committed to forging a better life for yourself and the ones that you love. With financial literacy, you can become recession-proof. Trading is a lifelong profession. Tourists visit during bull markets only to get wiped out, but professionals stay no matter the market conditions, because they know that buying lower is the secret to success. You will create security and financial freedom in direct proportion to your capability and willingness to learn. If you commit, your world will improve immediately. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and Kate and I very much look forward to joining you again in the next one. Take care, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, show gratitude and happiness, and you'll already feel richer today. And today is all we ever really have.